Let's get this theater room done. I mean, the amount of movies I have now piling up that I bought and I haven't been able to watch yet, you know, is in that box. There's actually more over there, I think. Plus other ones, but I gotta start putting, you know, these things in this box over here. So the theater room's getting close to being done. Hopefully it'll be closer fairly soon. So this room is essentially, it is 11.9 feet by around 19 feet. And the screen will be on this side. You can see that tape down there, that's the bottom of the screen. It is a 150-inch 16 by 9 screen, so it almost fills the entire, since this is about 136 inches wide, the screen will be about 132, so it'll fit pretty much the entire wall. The first set of seats are about 10 feet back. The second set of seats are about 17 from where your actual eyes will be. I mean, where that actual ledge is right there is actually about 12 feet. So projector was moved back. I went to the soffit and rebuilt it in there. Moved the vent over one, and we'll be able to put the projector there. Move back the electrical. Also have a cable that goes out that back hole back there for HDMI, and it is in a conduit so that we can easily replace it in the future. Goes through there and comes out down at the bottom. Now I can replace the HDMI cable easily, but all of the cable, which is Gearit cable, and it was a in-wall certified 12 gauge. The HDMI cable I have currently in there is optical in-wall. Forget the company, starts with an R, but the room was originally, we were going to have in-wall speakers, but when I tested out the micro-perf, I wasn't that impressed with being able to not notice it completely sitting at the first row. And this is partially because you also have to have it a foot forward from the wall. You can't have it flush against the wall. And so, since it had to be a foot forward, you lose 1 foot of viewing distance. So having the screen against the wall is where it's going to be now, and it's a Stewart film screen, Studio Tech 100. So the other thing is we have the in walls there, and we'll have on walls on the back, and we have 4 Atmos. So it'll be a 7-2-4 setup. 3 chairs in the front row and 4 chairs in the back row. And these chairs are essentially wall huggers because they will only be 4 inches from the wall. This will give me more space to walk through here and more viewing distance for the front, since they will be further back as well. So that is essentially what's going on here. Of course, there's some more wiring I have to do. I have these lights here, obviously will be replaced. They are just thrown up for working. As you can see, they're just regular bulbs. And we will have stair lights and a light at the other side, which will be on a separate switch. There's also be a plug up there for ceiling lights, which will go around like LEDs or something, which will be on its own switch, and then these wall lights are on its own switch. So, going to replace all the plugs in here with black plugs and finish painting. This is the actual color we will use for the walls, and the ceiling is going to be a different color black. The paints that were used in here, this is going to be the ceiling paint. It is called Tar Estate Emulsion. This is the sidewall paint. It is blue, essentially, Estate Emulsion. I would have liked to have gone with the theater red and the black ceilings, but wasn't agreed upon by everybody. So we got the blue and the blue carpet. The main thing though is it is dark, and they will be dark, and they don't have any reflections. And that's the main thing, is the sheer. Like, I even went to Miller Paint and asked about getting flat, and they gave me something else and said it would work, and it was crap. Yeah, I mean, so before so you can see the ceiling there. This is the primer though now. This is just black primer, so, but there's no sheen on it. So this is what the sheen would look like. So I actually painted a bunch of these on the wall whenever I had the old theater room in here, and I viewed them to make sure that there was no sheen, and so it ends up being completely dark. With the back, with the back tier, originally we created some 7-inch or 6-inch pallets, and we were using them to stack them and test out various viewing conditions. And a couple things was, one, I figured out that the viewing condition ultimately, or at least, would be 30 inches tall. So 30 inches, because the chairs are about 40 inches, so it's like 10 inches below the chairs, and you would have a decent viewing angle. You know, you wouldn't, of course it also depends on how low it is, but for this screen, for how low it is going to be, you know, you would have a decent viewing angle at 30 inches, you know, even if someone was sitting there. However, because of the soffit, the size of the room, you know, we can't have things too tall. You know, right now it's about 6'4" inches under that soffit. So you don't walk under it, but still you don't want to be claustrophobic there. And the ceilings are 9 feet. So ended up going a little bit less. Also, if you're 30 inches or above, you start to need a railing. So under 30 inches, you don't need a railing. So this is 21 inches. And optimally, if no one's sitting in the front chairs, there's no head in the way, you can actually see the complete view from the back chairs. Now, someone's head's there, you can't see it, but if they lean all the way back in the chairs, then you also would be able to see it, because if they lay all the way down, then you'll be able to see the chairs there. So again, there'll be 3 in the front, 4 in the back to meet the full. So this also is 72 inches, about just pretty much the size of a chair that's fully extended, which means these wall hugger chairs that are 4 inches from the wall would essentially pretty much be at the end here if you're completely laying down. And so if I didn't get the wall huggers, you would have to have the chair in the middle, which would make less space for the walkway. So that's why everything is what it is. And whenever I was designing this, I had gone through and created all these drawings you know, at precise measurements. Like each one of these blocks is, you know, like an inch or something like that. And so I went through, figured out everywhere you're going to go, where these speakers should go, where the lines would be, you know, where the optimal place for the side speakers would be. You know, based on what I had to work with, what the recommendations are, where I could fudge the numbers at, and you know, looking at viewing distances, you know, say the platform, you know, 136, 73, 21, how big the stairs would have to be, how it would fit the chairs in there, you know, how big the stairs would have to be, how they would fit within the chairs, and where these would have to be based on the size of the basically enough room to walk up, as well as the size of the chairs, plus with a little space on the side, you know. So all these things were calculated out and measured, you know, even those looking at the viewing distances and things like that. So, and also the location of the projector. But again, not only do I do that though, I also, as you saw, paint colors on the wall. I actually sat in the chairs with the screen raised. I put the projector back here, projected to see the wall size, including whenever it would have been a foot out for the rear projection. But since I'm not going with the rear projection anymore, it'll be up against the wall. And the speakers, the main problem was putting a tower speaker in front of the ceiling, or in front of the screen. So instead, you know, I bought the Klitsch TXX, which are, you know, 15 inches tall and will go right under the screen. And so instead of putting them behind, I now have them on the bottom. And I will use padding underneath them to angle them up, to shoot them up towards the audience back here. We'll see how that sounds. Hopefully it won't sound too bad because the room's fairly small. You know, I mean, before, you know, I had the center speaker at the same place, and it wasn't bad at all. Of course, I did have tower speakers. So that's essentially what I'm doing in this room here. You know, working with what I can to get the best of everything that I can get out of this room. So stay tuned for some updates later. Hopefully we'll be able to complete this or at least get it reasonably well so I can put the stuff in here fairly soon.